got another story. This is a bit of a longer one, so I'm gonna kind of skip around in it just a bit because some of the stuff in this one is, I mean, there's a lot of info in this story, and I don't know if we quite need all that. But this is about a title, the final title of an upcoming movie that I'm cautiously optimistic about, but I am looking forward to. It's a video game movie, but it is one of the, arguably one of the most popular video game movie adaptation franchises out there, or the previous version was. This one that is coming out later this year, and I'm talking about Resident Evil, or as they say in the game, Resident Evil. Probably terrible impersonation there, but whatever. We have a name. It's not just going to be called Resident Evil. It's going to be called, and I don't know exactly how I feel about this, it's going to be called Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Yeah, that's the official name of the movie. Okay, there's worse things it could have been called, that's for damn sure, but welcome to Raccoon City. So why is that? Well, let's jump into this story. It's pretty lengthy, but I'm going to skip around, as I said. The upcoming Jonas Roberts directed, is that how you say Jonas? Yeah, Johannes, sorry. Johannes Roberts directed Resident Evil film now has a name. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Roberts revealed the title and details of the movie's plot during a panel with IGN's Lucy O'Brien at SXSW on Saturday. Speaking about the genesis of the title, Roberts, who has directed both of the 47 Meters Down films, said that the setting of Raccoon City plays a big role in the film. Pause. Yes, Raccoon City, as far as the games go, Raccoon City plays a big part of, not really the first one, it kind of does, it takes place there, but it wholly takes place in a mansion and like a facility. But the second game and the third game and a lot of, if not all of Code Veronica, if I remember. No, I think they go somewhere else with that one. But that's it. After the third one, that's it on Raccoon City. But Raccoon City is definitely a big part of Resident Evil, so I could see it playing a big part in this film. I'm fine with that. Now, this sentence I just read, there's a good thing and a bad thing in this sentence here. The really good thing is, well, let's disseminate. It says that she directed both of the 47 Meters Down films. Okay, the first 47 Meters Down, I really enjoyed. Holy shit, that movie was so much better than I ever expected. That was such a good time. The second one, what the fuck was that? It had like blind, roaring, screaming sharks underwater or fish, and that movie was fucking terrible. So I don't know how the quality of the movies here is very polarized. It's on both sides of the spectrum, and so I'm wondering, where is Resident Evil going to fall in all of that? Who knows? Some people would say after the previous franchise that it can't get any worse. It can get worse, by the way. Look at Uwe Boll. But I actually enjoyed the previous Resident Evil movies. I'm okay with them rebooting it here. Seems as Anderson and Jovovich told their story, I guess. So I'm cool with them rebooting it. I just hope that it doesn't do something really stupid. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see later this year. But moving on with this, it tells us a little bit of information about the story that we did not know. The movie is very much an origin story for Resident Evil, Roberts said. It's an ensemble piece. Raccoon City plays a big part and is a character in the movie. It's about this group of people all coming from different angles, some coming into town, some already having grown up in this town, meeting over this one fateful night. I mean, that sounds great, but we've seen that before. You don't, and that, I'm not saying that Resident Evil does not have to be wholly original, it just has to be fun. But that setup right there is like the setup of every fucking zombie movie ever made. You know what I mean? It takes place in a city, and a ragtag group of people come together. Some of the people are there from the city. Some of the people are passing through. Okay, so yeah, okay, we've Nothing new so far. Doesn't mean it's bad, though. The film will follow the original Resident Evil characters of Claire and Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine and Leon S. Kennedy will play up the horror aspects of the video games, Roberts said. Roberts looked to John Carpenter films such as The Fog for inspiration, as well as the original video games. Miss Roberts and Lucy O'Brien, who wrote this for IG a primarily video game website. It says, I don't know. This sentence says the film will follow the original Resident Evil characters. That sentence says to me the original game, the first game of Claire and Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, and Leon S. Kennedy. I don't want to be a stickler, but I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. The films and the games. Played the games. I've been playing for a long time. I played the first one more times than I can even name in so many different versions. Claire and Leon, at least 4 people, Claire and Leon were not original Resident Evil characters. They were not anywhere to be seen in that game. Claire didn't show up until Resident Evil 2? Or was she? Yeah, she was Resident Evil 2. And yeah, Claire and Leon showed up in Resident Evil 2. I mean, I don't have a problem with them showing up, but you're calling them a Resident. Now, I mean, if she's saying, or if they're saying that original Resident Evil game characters, then okay, that's fine. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe I'm looking into this too much and I'm picking. Moving on. The big thing for me on this movie is tone. The thing that I loved about the games was they were just scary as hell, and that is very much the atmosphere, Roberts said. It's raining constantly, it's dark, it's creepy, and then mixed with the sort of more fun side, especially with the first game, of what's around the corner, that kind of style of storytelling. So, that whole paragraph there can be summed up in 2 words. Well, yeah, jump scares. That's what fucking jump scares. That's what that is. That's what I take from that. You're going to go for a dark, creepy-ass atmosphere with rain and, like, just a really dark lit movie, which, I mean, if you know how to shoot in the dark, that'll be fine. And you're going to have a bunch of fucking jump scares. Okay, jump scares can be fun, but, they're a perilous thing to go with. You got to watch them jump scares. They can get out of control. Although Roberts said I thought Roberts was a woman. Whoops. Sorry. Did I assume your gender, Mr. Roberts? My bad. But no, I thought Roberts was a woman. Whoops. Although Roberts said he is a fan of the original Resident Evil film franchise, his movie doesn't have anything to do with that. No shit, we knew that. It's a whole separate origin story that's very much based in the roots of the game and the world of horror, Robert said. It's not like I was presented something where we're making it. We're not. I fell in love with Milla Jovovich in the first films and loved that side of the Resident Evil world, but it was a real pleasure to be given the reins to a new franchise. Hopefully, that really is its own thing. I'd never seen the terror and atmosphere of the games of what I felt when I was playing those games. I'd never felt that on screen, and I felt that was something I wanted to tell. I mean, I could see that. The first Resident Evil movie was a bit more horror than the later ones. It was an action horror, which, I mean, the Resident Evil games, the first three-ish, 4-ish, do lean a bit more towards survival horror, and then they kind of turn into more action horror, especially with the 4th one on, and they just kind of got out of control. But, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I'm cool with that. I do feel like him saying this thing about, I think it's cool. He's saying, hey, I fell in love with Milla Jovovich in the first movies and all this and that and blah, blah, blah. And maybe he did. I don't know. But you don't really expect the guy to say anything else. I mean, they're made by the same fucking company. Sony Pictures owns this property, and he's not going to come on there and be like, because the old Resident Evil movies are still their property. They're still part of Sony corporate or Sony Pictures. So he's not going to come on there and be like, yeah, them other movies that this studio made, they fucking sucked. But mine is going to be bomb as a motherfucker. Fire, bitch. fuck Mila Jovovich and all those shit. And Wes Anderson, he's not going to come out and say that. He's only going to have good things to say. So honestly, that line they could have just kept. I mean, maybe he's being cool. I mean, I guess it's cool that he said that. It shows he's professional, but that doesn't really hold a lot of weight with me. If he's going to go more the horror route, that's fine, cool. Resident Evil is known for its horror, but like I said, the previous paragraph made it sound as if he's going the horror routes with jump scares, but we'll see. In particular, Robert said that the 2019 remake of the second Resident Evil video game pointed him in the right direction as far as its setting and tone. That's a positive. That was probably the entry point into the movie for me, Robert said. That game came out and it just blew me away. And from that moment on, I think we all knew where we were going with this movie because it was such a wonderful cinematic experience with the tone, the constant dark rain, the sort of aspect of the game, that sort of aspect of the game. And I just took that and went, that's the world I want to work in. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is scheduled to release via Sony Pictures on September 3rd, 2021. So that means, I'm not going to say, I would say that kind of speaks to me and says the first Resident Evil that he is aware of is the RE2 remake that came out a couple of years ago. And that's a great, I have not played the whole thing, but I played the original RE, and I did play some of it. It did seem like a great remake. I just haven't had a chance to get into it, and a lot of people had great things to say about it. So if he's basing his movie off of that, cool. And that does make his comment up top about Leon and Claire being involved a bit more understandable because that's a remake of Part 2, and Leon and Claire are in that. And the other characters from the previous game, of course, are referenced in it as well. I mean, all this, it doesn't really, it's a lot of talk. They're saying a lot, or they're talking a lot, but they're not saying a lot. I guess, what did I take from this? I took that it's probably going to have a lot of jump scares. It's going to be a dark movie. It's going to they're going for a real creepy atmosphere, and it's going to be a lot of creeping around, and like everything's loud, and it's probably going to get quiet, and then loud noises are going to happen. That's what I'm picking up from it. Hopefully not. I mean that could still be fun, but you got to pick. That can't be all the movie is though. I do wonder how heavily it is going to be inspired by the story of the games, because quite honestly, while I love the games, let's be real, the story of the Resident Evil games as a whole gets really convoluted over time. It gets pretty convoluted within the first one, but for a game, it's great. So I do wonder, that this doesn't really tell me much about the story. It talks about tone. It talks about inspiration. And, I mean, he had good things to say about it. The biggest thing about this that I didn't like, or that gives me concern, the constant jump scare thing, kind of seems like they're relying on that. I'm hoping not. But the most concerning thing is that this person made the second 47 Meters Down film. But he also made the first one, and I really like that movie. But he made that second one, and it's so fucking bad. But I guess we'll find out. This, like I said, this is a lot of stuff to read here. I cut some of it out, but this is, I guess, all relevant. If you're looking forward to Resident Evil, though, you got a little bit more info on it now. I don't feel any better or worse about the movie after reading this. I just feel kind of, same place I was as before. This doesn't really do anything for me. I don't love the name. I'm not gonna lie. Welcome to Raccoon City. Maybe as a tagline. But as the actual title of the movie, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, maybe it'll grow on me. I don't know. But as of right now, I don't hate it, but it just seems, I don't know, it doesn't seem as sinister. It just doesn't seem sinister enough. And if they were going to go with that, they should have just called it Resident Evil. I guess they were afraid of people getting it confused with the original movie, but, I mean, just Welcome to Raccoon City? What the hell? I'd rather them just call it Resident Evil, Raccoon City. Then welcome. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me, but it's just a name. Hopefully the movie will be good. We'll find out on September 3rd. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Jarcast Movie Podcast. If you like this and want more, then check out the Jarcast live stream every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time on the Jacob Anders Review YouTube channel, where you can also find movie reviews every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. You can also listen to the entire podcast on all major podcasting platforms such as Spotify, Google, and iTunes. So if you prefer audio, whichever one is your preferred, check it out there. Once again, I really appreciate it, and thanks for watching. And as always, stay sexy, YouTube.